From Anthony having to fence in super tight pants, to Queen Charlotte's constant difficulty in balancing her extremely large wig, these are the Bridgerton scenes the cast hated filming. Filming in corsets and tights is already pretty tough, but these actors sure as hell didn't expect a wardrobe malfunction. In the scene where Anthony Bridgerton was fencing with his brothers, Colin and Benedict, there was an unfortunate incident that only the people behind the camera knew of. Oh boy, let me tell you about the epic disaster that went down. Jonathan Bailey, the actor who played Anthony, ended up exposing not just his emotions, but also his, private area. How did it happen, you ask? During that fencing scene, he was all suited up in these super snug pants. Now those trousers managed to hold it together for most of the shoot, until the moment of truth arrived. You won't believe it, but at that very moment, there were not one, not two, not three, but 4 cameras pointed at him. And as luck would have it, the entire set was filled with the cast and crew, ready to capture this cringe-worthy memory for eternity. Poor Jonathan was so embarrassed that he was literally speechless. Bailey didn't find that scene comfortable to film in the first place, but this made it even worse. Can you blame him? I mean, his pants split right at the most crucial moment. But hey, I guess now we know he's incredibly athletic and knows how to lunge. While this scene was cut out before coming on screen, there are other, more subtle scenes the cast didn't particularly enjoy, even though it didn't show on screen. We all know Bridgerton for its steamy romance, but were all the makeout scenes as easy to film as they looked on screen? Not really. While tight corsets might complement your body figure, they make the makeout scenes very challenging. We can't deny the visual appeal for sure, but only Simone Ashley knows the trouble behind all those embraces with Jonathan. In the scenes where she was wearing a corset, she claimed that even lifting her hands was a struggle. Imagine wearing something that tight, which almost cuts off your breathing, and then moving your hands. I wouldn't want to be in her place for sure. And the worst part was that this was a scene where the camera was only focused on the two of them. How she managed to hide her discomfort with that much attention is beyond me. But we should give her some credit for it. She made the scene look effortless and perfect for us, after all. Simone may have managed to do this easily after some practice, but what about all those riding scenes? While the cast may have looked like they've been riding horses since childhood, some of them had never even sat on a horse before. During that era, riding horses was as common as sipping tea, especially for the economic class our cast belonged to. So these actors couldn't just fake it till they made it. Nope. They had to buckle up, take countless hours of riding lessons, and transform into horse riding experts overnight. Talk about pressure, huh? You see, horseback riding is no walk in the park. It's not just sitting on the saddle and yelling "giddy up" like in the movies. This training demanded serious time and effort. It was probably one of the hardest things they had to do for the show. While our hardworking actors put in the sweat and tears to make it look like they were born in the saddle, they still weren't huge on filming those scenes. Understandable, of course. This is a real animal we're talking about, people. One that can just as easily jump and throw them off in one go. I think they deserve the most appreciation for doing it flawlessly. Now, I don't know about you, but every time a ballroom dance came on screen, I was in awe. And I'm sure you were too. The way everyone moved in sync with the music, remembered all the dance steps and were so natural about it, made it seem like they were all born dancers. Who could tell that in reality, they actually hated it? The dance scenes were very difficult for them to film, and it took many tries for them to perfect even a single move. Dancing requires a lot of practice, and even our very talented cast couldn't avoid stepping on toes during rehearsals. Even for those who knew how to move their body to the beat, these Regency-era steps were no walk in the park. Some clumsy actors even claimed that it was super embarrassing for them during the numerous practice sessions. And add those super uncomfortable costumes on top of all that, I mean, talk about hard work and professionalism. What we saw on screen was a result of all that amazing choreography and patience the actors showed. Let's just say it took more than a few sore toes for them to finally get it right. The characters of Bridgerton often found themselves engaged in intense duels and fights. But did you know that the actors had to perform these action-packed scenes in period costumes and, in some cases, even heels? We know about Simone and Anthony's scenes with tight costumes. So what about all those dueling scenes? How the hell did they even manage those? Fighting in period costumes was challenging enough, but add heels to the mix and it becomes a whole new level of difficulty. They had to be careful not to trip or lose balance while executing the fight choreography. It took a lot of teeth gritting and several near ankle sprains for them to finally master all those scenes. I'm sure the stunt team had a field day. Dancing is still graceful, but fighting has intensely aggressive movements. So I bet these guys weren't thrilled about the situation. Keeping your balance during these rapid movements still sounds doable, but making a bedroom scene look passionate on screen when you hate it? Yeah, a little too awkward. Everybody knows that Bridgerton hired an intimacy director to make the cast feel at ease and to ensure their safety, but that can only work so many wonders. Filming these extremely steamy scenes in front of a whole room filled with people watching? I don't think even an intimacy director can help with the awkwardness of that. While some actors were pretty professional about it, others took some time in getting used to it and falling into the role comfortably. The actors had to focus on their every hand movement, facial expression, every touch. Nothing could be left to chance. I can't imagine how comfortable you have to be with your co-actors to do all this. It's definitely no walk in the park. While this kind of intimacy in bedrooms can't be faked without good practice, the same applies to the outside bedroom chemistry between couples. In season 1 especially, both Phoebe and Regina struggled a lot with their on-screen chemistry. Not only did they have to get to know each other better, but they also had to portray their uncontrollable lust for each other. They were shown as a couple who just couldn't keep their hands off each other, and they had to show each and every scene filled with sexual tension. The showrunners knew from the beginning this wouldn't be easy, so they warned the two actors to practice falling for each other from the start. Spending so much time learning to know someone else while managing the stress of all the Regency-era lessons was a challenge for sure. Phoebe especially found the dancing lessons super stressful and couldn't focus on both the steps and keeping her composure with the Duke. Throw in all those uncomfortable costumes and it's definitely a struggle. I swear these corsets just made about every scene super uncomfortable for them. If I was in their place, I would have long given up. I don't think I can speak about tight corsets, pants, and the horrors of filming in them without mentioning Golda Rochevelle's struggle with her gigantic wig. Queen Charlotte was the ultimate figure of poise and grace throughout the whole show. But how did she manage that with a mini mountain on her head? It not only looked heavy and uncomfortable, but it was also a hassle to wear it and move around. Not only did Rochevelle have to be transported in minivans from one filming set to the other, but she also had to deal with the headache she got from wearing that wig for hours. It took multiple hairdressers on set to pin it on her head, and even then she was instructed to keep her head absolutely straight to balance it. Playing the queen, she couldn't afford a slip up even if she wanted to. From the time the wig was out on to the hours she spent sitting completely straight and carrying out her scenes, Rochevelle might even have rethought her decision to be cast as the queen. But I think we should give her credit for giving us a flawless performance despite everything. So there you have it, guys. From Queen Charlotte balancing her extremely large wig to Anthony fencing in tight pants, those were the Bridgerton scenes the cast hated filming.